Welcome to a video about how to find the equation of a parabola through some given graph information. And on this one we want to find the equation that goes through a vertex of 5, 3 and another point 2, 1. So I have those drawn out here. Here's our vertex right there. X is 5, Y is 3. And then we're going to go through this point 2, 1, 2 in the X direction, 1 in the Y direction. So this should be our vertex, and it should open down toward that point right there. Now we know a little bit of information. If we have a vertex, we know that vertex form or standard form of an equation. We can get a little bit of information off of that guy. So we might try a first initial guess of something like this. Y is x minus 5 squared plus 3. The question is that going to be correct? So I'll go ahead and graph it on the calculator in a second, but we'll see that it does have the right vertex, but it doesn't go through that correct point right there. So let's go and try that equation right there. So we got y equals, and this x minus 5 squared. Okay, so that had a vertex of 5. So we'll try x minus 5 squared. And then the y part of the vertex was 3, so then plus 3. So there's our initial guess, and we'll go ahead and graph that. And we notice it does have the right vertex right there at 5, 3, but it does not go through this point down here at 2, 1. In fact, it opens in the entirely wrong direction there. So off of that, we can see we're close. We have the right vertex, but we just don't go through the other point. Well, how do we get that other point on our parabola there? Well, what we can do instead now is to look at the exact form of that equation. So if we go back and look at this parabola shape that we want, and to go through both points, we can start with that standard form. Y is a times the x minus h squared plus k. We have the h and k. Okay, so that information was correct. We had the right vertex. We'll get minus 5 in that parenthesis and plus 3. But that a value is what we need to work on. That a controls which way it opens, how wide it is, things like that. So in order to find what that a needs to be, we can use this other point that's on our parabola. So we know that point 2, 1 needs to be on our parabola. We'll go ahead and plug in the x and y from that point, and that should make this equation true if it's going to be on this parabola over here. So the x in that case is 2, the y is 1. We can take those 2 points, plug them in. This equation should still be a true statement. So we have 1 is a times 2 minus 5 squared plus 3. Now we can go ahead and solve for the a. Everything else has been replaced. All the variables are in there with numbers. And now we can go ahead and solve for that a. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is subtract 3 on both sides and replace this 2 minus 5 with the negative 3 inside that square. So we got subtracting 3 on both sides, negative 2 is a times that negative 3 squared. Negative 3 squared is just 9. Negative 3 times negative 3. So I got negative 2 is 9 times a, and then divide both sides by the 9. Now we're going to get that a is negative 2 ninths. Right, so I finally found that value of a that I should be able to use. And since they asked for an equation, I want to make sure I give them an equation for my final answer. So it's just going to be this equation up here, the standard form with the vertex information plugged in, and now that new value of a plugged in that I just found. So final answer for this one should be y is negative 2 ninths times the x minus 5 squared plus 3. You can go ahead and check that. So if you want to graph that, that should be something that looks like this parabola right here. So I'll go ahead and graph that just to double check. So let's go back to our y equals, and we just need negative 2 ninths in there. So I'm going to insert. If you hit second delete, you can insert negative 2 ninths times this guy, and now I'll graph that. And now it looks like that parabola. So vertex at 5, 3 does go through that point right there at 2, 1. So this is how you do any of those. What you want to do is use the vertex in this vertex form, and then use this other point for the x and y to be able to solve for that a. And just make sure if they ask for an equation, you give them the entire equation at the end.